Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street, presented by Plaza Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Here is Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel, Gary Vickery, and I'm your host, Lisa Melmed. Welcome back to another episode of On the Corner of Main Street. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. How's everybody else?
Doing good. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa, for introducing us.
My pleasure.
Being back with us. Nice to see you.
It was an exciting week. Two things stand out to me. The first is that the governor raised the maximum amount of people who can be in a gathering.
Correct.
And a dear Plaza team member retired.
Yeah, two very exciting incidents for different reasons. I think the governor's raising of the occupancy really gives us something to think about now. There was a lot of concern that as summer came to an end, what would be backfilling the pool, the summer traveler that comes here, that goes to the pool and hangs out for a weekend or a week. And as it cools down, although you wouldn't know it's cooling down because I think it's still 100 degrees today, but as it eventually will cool down, I think the question came, well, who's going to be coming here once the pools are no longer major destinations? So getting the occupancy up to 250 people gives us something to really think about. In fact, we are now next week going to be hosting our first Super Bingo since the pandemic. 250 people. Thank you. 250 people in a room. And then we can break it out into multiple rooms subject to approval. So it gives us something to plan for, to think about. We've been very much waiting for that, and at least now we can look ahead. So that's exciting, and obviously it's a step in the right direction.
And we'll definitely be reporting on what happens with Super Bingo as we get to next week's episode.
Yes, no news is good news.
Right.
But yeah, we're looking forward to being able to host back that crowd. And then, of course, Nelly retiring. She's been here 40 years, which I am very proud to say is longer than I've been alive. And
You're proud to say?
Well, I think it's incredible that somebody dedicates 40 years to one place, one position. She's been in environmental services, EVS as we call it, which basically is cleaning, and she cleans the property, and she loves this place. I know her family, and she asks me how my kids are every day. And to see somebody after 40 years hang it up is... I don't know that they make people like that anymore in today's culture. I just don't think that happens. So to have someone here 40 years, we wish her nothing but the best, and we will send her off in appropriate fashion.
Yeah, she started here in 1981, so this property was only 10 years old.
Wow.
10 years old when she started here. It's unbelievable.
And she has such a sparkling little attitude. I'm going to miss her. Always seeing her. She always says hi. She's
great. She's good with customers. She's good. She knows the property. So we wish her well in her retirement.
Absolutely. So speaking of retirement, what happens to the neon in Las Vegas once it retires?
When it gets retired.
Well, today we are joined by President and CEO of the Neon Museum, Rob McCoy. Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street.
Hey guys, great to be here. Good to be seen, especially in the world we're currently living in. So thanks for having me over. All about everything downtown. I grew up downtown, and it's the core, or should I say it's the heart of Las Vegas.
Yes. Absolutely, you should say that. And thank you for joining us, Rob. I think I actually saw you. It was probably about a week before everything started going a little crazy, and we had a mutual friend at the time who was in the boardroom who was about to go to South Africa on a trip.
That's right.
And I think he told me he got the virus on the way back from the trip.
He did.
Yeah.
We think at LAX, actually.
Wow.
But he was not hospitalized.
Yeah.
He's good. And he's doing well.
It's good. That's great to hear. And how have you been keeping?
You know, we're busy. We reopened as a museum at the end of May, and we have a big advantage. The advantage is we're an outdoor venue. And so there's lots of spacing. And, of course, we have all the protocols in place. And with not a whole lot to do from an entertainment perspective right now in this industry, we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. There's just not a lot to do right now. People are gambling and going to the Neon Museum. I mean, when you think about it, we had a conversation with Myron Martin last week or a few weeks ago, and There's no theater open. There's no movie theaters open. I think bowling alleys are starting to come back, actually, but there is limited to do right now, so it's good to hear you've been so busy.
Yeah, it's great to see visitors again. And, of course, as you know, we attract visitors from around the world. And our employees, our Neon team members, we're just so pleased to be back open and actually be interacting with visitors to Las Vegas.
For some of our listeners who may not be aware of what the Neon Museum is, could you give a brief description on what it entails when you sign up and you go to the facility?
Well, absolutely. So, I'll give you a little brief history. So back in the 1990s, early 1990s, when Las Vegas began imploding all of the old hotels, the great sign designers said, wait a second, we need to save our works of art. And indeed, they are works of art. And so they started keeping the signs, imploding the buildings, but keeping the signs. For a while, they were stored on the back lot at Young Electric Sign Company. And then through the great supervision from former Mayor Jan Jones and the city of Las Vegas, some property was given downtown here for the beginning of an actual working neon museum. And so I think everybody almost in the world has this romantic image of classic Las Vegas in their mind. Well, in today's world, you can really only see it in one place, and it's at the Neon Museum in Las Vegas. We've got about 300 signs in our collection, some of the greatest pieces of art ever created, including the Stardust sign, which was the largest freestanding sign in the history of the city. And so folks can see that. And you can do one of two things. You can come for general admission and browse at your own pace, your own will, or you can sign up for one of our tours with one of our tour guides, which is actually what I would suggest if you've never been to the museum, because they will give you a history of Las Vegas through the signs. Every single sign in our collection tells a story, and it tells a story about Las Vegas at a particular point in time. And it's fascinating. It's just fascinating. And in addition to that, we also have a show called Brilliant. It's in our North Gallery. And in the North Gallery, Brilliant brings to life all of these signs that have never worked. And it's set to music. You not only hear Liberace playing, you actually see Liberace playing. It's a very special show. It's called Brilliant. It's about 25 minutes long. And a lot of folks who come and visit the museum, they'll do both. They'll come and take the tour or general admission, and they will see the show.
Yeah, I think I seen Brilliant probably about 4 weeks ago. Was the first time that I was able to see it.
What did you think?
It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing to go from, because you walk in and it's dark, right? It's only
Correct.
open at nighttime. So you walk in and it's kind of just like an empty, almost like a junkyard feel.
Very true.
When you go in, and then a couple of the lights go, and you're watching it for a minute, and kind of maybe a little skeptical, and then once the show really begins, it's truly breathtaking.
Yeah,
really
it is.
breathtaking.
And in fact, folks who have been to Las Vegas over the last 40, 50 years, they actually have tears in their eyes because we're bringing old Las Vegas back to life. People have a lot of very special memories.
Yeah. And
When did that go in? When did Brilliant go in?
It'll be 2 years in February.
So how did I miss it when I went to the Tim Burton exhibition?
I don't know, Jonathan. Do we need to have a talk
We
after
need
this?
to talk about this. I missed that part. I guess I didn't see it.
Yeah, and for Tim Burton, we actually had a special Brilliant show that actually had some Tim Burton elements in it. Of course, that is no longer the case. We're back to the normal Brilliant. But yeah, you need to come over and see
Yeah, I
it.
guess I do. I missed that. I want to see Gary crying about it as well, which would be good.
It truly is amazing. You might see me shed a tear. I think the Neon Museum is, for me personally, my most favorite attraction in Las Vegas. It was the first one that I had seen when I moved here 6 years ago. I did a daytime tour at that time. I really was kind of getting the history of where I was going to be living.
Right.
And then just seeing it, about a month ago, doing the nighttime tour and seeing it all lit up, and then seeing Brilliant. I recommend people go in there.
And the change from 4 years ago to today is breathtaking. Not only did we add Brilliant, we have added multiple signs that have now been electrified. and lit up. And the most recent one was the Moulin Rouge sign, which is one of Betty Willis's creation. Of course, Betty created probably the most famous sign in the history of the world, Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign.
What are the names on those little starbursts on that sign? Do they have a technical name, don't they?
Oh,
did I put you on the spot? Sorry.
You put me on the spot.
I think they're called like goo berry, goo something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, please do.
When you
please
come
do.
over to see Brilliant, we'll talk about it.
When I come to see Brilliant, we'll talk about it. So who, Gary mentions that it's his favorite, but who would you consider as your sort of competition? What's an alternative to the Neon Museum?
We really don't see anyone as a competition or a competitor. We think we all work together. We've actually partnered with the Mob Museum. We have a great relationship with the Smith Center. Even the hotels, not only downtown but up and down the Strip, have been very good to us. I don't think we have any competitors really. We were the only neon museum in the United States. I would now like to tell you that because of our success, multiple neon museums have popped up in cities throughout North America.
Really?
And we're all talking with each other, and it's really kind of fun.
Surely they don't have such access to neon, though, that we have here. I mean, they must be boring.
Yeah, we're neon on steroids.
Did Vegas start the neon trend, or where did this neon trend come from?
As far as saving neon or just installing neon?
Installing neon
The
signs.
first, believe it or not, the first neon sign in Las Vegas was installed in the late 1920s, right across the street. Was the
Apache?
No, the out
Overland.
the Overland Hotel.
Yes.
And that was the first one.
I did not look that up, by the way. It came to me.
Yeah, that was the first one in Las Vegas in the 1920s. Neon really didn't come to North America until the early 1920s. And so Las Vegas was right on it. And of course, what we wound up doing as a city is taking it to unknown heights, because that's what we do as a city. And, the sign designers, they said bigger is better. And so the bigger, the better. And they were the calling cards to bring people into the casinos.
Yeah.
So before we got started here, you mentioned you called the headset the cans, and you said that's where you started your career. What prepared you? What prepared you for your position today? What did you do in your younger years to get to where you are today as the CEO of the Neon Museum?
I think everything prepared me. First of all, born and raised in Las Vegas. My family's been here since 1939. I actually grew up with these signs. They're like members of my family. But I started in television news at Channel 3 in 1977. I was the first native-born anchor reporter in the city, and then went into the corporate world in various different functions, communications, media relations, and then about the last 10 years of my corporate career in public policy. Working closely with cities and municipalities, not only in Nevada, but in California as well. And I think that kind of gives you that well-rounded look, because it's really got to be a team effort. When you plant a museum in the middle of the city, you've got to be able to reach out to government folks, private sector folks, donors, everybody. And I tell people, every career stop I made was pointing me to this one moment in time. And it's a great way to actually finish my professional career in Las Vegas. I'm a very, very lucky person.
Right. Well, you've done an incredible job with the museum, and you mentioned growing up here, and then you mentioned Mob Museum and Smith Center, but those are in the last 10 years.
Yes.
We had nothing.
Correct.
I mean, we had the Neon Museum. As far as was that Las Vegas's answer to culture for 20 years? I mean, essentially we had nothing else.
Well, I can tell you, when I was growing up, there were no museums. There was no performing arts center. But my parents were very good about taking us outside of Las Vegas to see culture. Kids weren't allowed in casinos back then.
Why did your parents move to Las Vegas? May I ask?
That's a
Dare I
wonderful
ask?
question. So my aunt came first in 1939. Her husband was in the Air Force. Then that was on my mom's side. Then on my father's side, believe it or not, there was a large working cattle ranch in Indian Springs. And my dad's family were ranchers from Colorado, and my great-grandfather was hired to run the ranch in Indian Springs, Nevada.
Your great-grandfather?
My great-grandfather.
Wow.
And that's how it happened. And then, of course, the parents met each other, and it was love, and I'm here.
I hope they bought a lot of real estate in 1939.
Oh, they're still kicking themselves on a little bit of that. But, the year they moved to Las Vegas, there were 7,000 people living here. The year I was born, there were 50,000 people living here. So
What year was that?
Oh.
Because we had somebody fact check us the other day when somebody said that the population was 50,000.
1955.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that works.
1955, 50,000 people. And I've told people, I
wasn't trying to age you, Rob.
No,
I'm sorry,
that's
but
fine.
I had to be sure we're accurate.
Take one look at me with this white hair and figure it out. But people say, Rob, do you ever regret leaving Las Vegas? Because a lot of my contemporaries did. Went away to college, met their wives, never moved back. And I go, I don't have one regret because I've been a witness to history. You will never see another city like this ever created in the United States ever again like this.
Absolutely.
This is an anomaly. And so to be a witness to history has been really something special.
Yeah. So before Lisa rudely interrupted you, you were no, I'm joking. You were saying that your parents took you out of Vegas to get culture.
They did. Museums, zoos, performing arts center, a lot of trips to California, Arizona, Colorado. They knew that was important because kids didn't go to casinos. I mean, I can remember the days if I walked inside a casino and I was like 16 years old, literally security would stop me right before I took a step in.
Yeah. Now that's the case if you don't wear a mask.
Isn't that the truth?
But before
you just had to bring that up.
Sorry. So talk to us about the culture today in Vegas. Obviously it's changed because we've added some things, but what do you think we're missing? Yeah. And do you think there's an appetite and an appreciation in this population for that?
Yeah, well, my children and grandchildren have been a lot better off than I was. They've got the museums, they've got the Children's Museum, they've got the Performing Arts Center. And I think there is an appreciation for museums and arts and culture now. I mean, all you have to do is look at the Arts District, which is just a few blocks south of us here, and see how that has sprung up. I thought I would never see that in my lifetime. So I think, the private sector working with city government, if city government is planned properly, it can be pretty explosive. And I think that's what's happened. And so I think there is an appreciation for art. Are we where we need to be right now for a city of 2.5 million? I would say no, we're not. But I think we're catching up.
Yeah, absolutely. I would go along with that. I mean, I know there's been a lot of talk about the Contemporary Art Museum, and that's now on hold again.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot more strides we could be taking towards that.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. We'll get there. It's like my father-in-law, God rest his soul, we used to go to all the UNLV football games, and we would talk about having professional sports in Las Vegas, and my wife's family were all from Pittsburgh, which is a huge sports city. Mm-hmm. And he goes, it's never going to happen because this is not a sports city. This is a sports book city.
Yeah.
And, well, I wish he were alive to see this.
Look where we are now.
This is something to behold.
That's a good. That's a great example. When I moved out here, there was no professional sports teams, and just to see the way it's grown in 10 years, if that can happen on the arts and cultural side, that would be great.
So downtown is remodeling, and there's Project Enchilada, which I believe is what's remodeling East Fremont, and there's already neon signs on the road, but I believe like the martini glass and the shoe. Is the shoe still there?
The shoe's there, yeah. It's in East Fremont.
Are you part of that?
No, those were recreations by the city of Las Vegas. So those are not our signs.
Those are replicas.
Those are replicas. And
wow.
Of course, the real Silver Slipper sits in front of our museum, which actually is one of my favorite neon signs. We are thrilled with what's happening on East Fremont. The effort to, at least make the old motel district look inhabitable, and then to restore some of those signs that are still in place in front of those motels. It's very worthy. It's a worthy effort, and I think it's great.
But you do have some partnerships, I believe, down there's two in East.
We do.
In Fremont Street, you have the Aladdin. What's it called?
We've got. I think you're referring to the National Scenic Byways project that we do in cooperation with the City of Las Vegas. So there's an effort to locate vintage historic neon signs all the way from the front of the Neon Museum all the way down Las Vegas Boulevard that will eventually end at Sahara. And so far, it stops just at Fremont. As part of the Las Vegas Boulevard redo, there are 3 or 4 more signs that are going to be placed in the center median as part of that reconstruction. So it will go all the way to Sahara Avenue.
Are those replicas?
No, these are vintage signs. And we are fully supportive of that and working with the City of Las Vegas to make sure it's done right.
I can't believe those signs are replicas. I feel like I've been
You've been cheated. I'm so sorry. Well, we tend to do that in Vegas from time to time. Replicas.
Just copy things.
We've replicated, Lake Como and, a Roman Forum.
Eiffel Tower.
And an Eiffel Tower.
What about other partnerships with casinos? Has the museum ever done that in terms of like mini galleries or installations at other casinos?
Yeah, we came close to doing that actually with Tim Burton. We thought we were going to be able to do it with Wynn, and at the last minute we had a hitch in that. I thought we were going to have some Tim Burton pieces inside the Wynn. But we have displayed at the fashion show, and we actually are kind of, and I can't give away too much, kind of having discussions with a sign company in town right now that are looking to locate, totally refurbish some signs that need refurbished in our collection, locating them in or around an existing hotel.
Oh, wow.
And then after a period of 6 months to a year, those will come back to the boneyard totally redone.
If it doesn't work out, the plaza is available for that repurposing.
Well, we can talk now because I'll put you at the top of the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, I don't know if it has to be indoor, outdoor, but we have space.
It could be both.
Okay. The deal just got done live.
You could just put a neon sign right in the center of one of those pickleball courts up on the deck, and away we go.
Don't mess with my pickleball, but we have the rodeo arena, and I don't know when we're going to be able to do rodeos again. So we have space. Let's talk about that. That could be.
Is there a sign you would want? Is there a sign you would want, Jonathan? Something in mind?
No, I mean, I think any of them. I am personally, when I went there last year to see the Tim Burton, I still have a special place in my heart for the Las Vegas Club sign that we donated, I guess.
Yes,
one
you
of them.
did.
But they're all great. I would take
So
any
how
of them.
does that? Okay. So you sold the Las Vegas Club. How do you know when all the sales are happening? Like, excuse me, I'll take that sign, please.
We don't buy signs. So any signs that we have in our collection have been given to us, which is great because we're a nonprofit. I don't know if most people know that, but we are a nonprofit. And those signs come to us. And it used to be back in the old days, we would have to approach the hotel, the motel, or the local business and say, hey, we see things are changing. Can we have that sign? Now we have such a network built in that folks are calling us. For example, the wedding chapel right over here, Weekirk of the Heather, unbeknownst to anybody, was torn down Friday.
It's been all over the news.
And nobody knew about it ahead of time. I happen to know the owners, they're longtime family friends. My phone lit up Saturday like you cannot believe. Rob, you've got to get that sign. What's going on? Well, that sign's going to stay in place. The family's not going to get rid of it. But that's how it happens now. People immediately reach out to us and say, hey, you need to check this out.
I think also there's an expense to demolishing and just trashing it. So when we sold the Las Vegas Club, I just naturally reached out to the museum. And I don't even think I knew you, Rob, like I know you now. So I probably just went through the sort of public process.
Right.
And instantly there's a response and there's a conversation about, well, it's got to be removed, it's got to be transported, and it's pretty straightforward. In fact, we recently looked at doing that with the Beauty Bar, when Beauty Bar shut down. Unfortunately, the new tenant wanted to preserve the sign himself in its place, so it didn't go to the museum, but it's going to be preserved over there. But I think most people realize that people love neon. They love the old signs,
Yeah.
and you got to keep that history. And the museum is the place to send it to do that. I mean, if we had a place here that we could keep signs, I think we'd.
Just let me say, we're happy with any business or hotel that wants to keep a sign in place and lit. We think that's fantastic. However, if you're planning on tearing it down, please call us. We need it. It's our history.
Mm-hmm. What about Vegas Vic and Vegas Vicky?
Oh, Vegas Vicky.
Was Vicky at the Neon Museum before
No.
going to Circa?
No, that went straight to the city. No, it did not. After they bought the Las Vegas Club, Derek Stevens, they put Vicky in storage. And we really never had that conversation. I just kept being assured by Derek Stevens and his management team that we are not getting rid of this. We are not selling it. We are taking care of it. And sure enough, that's what's going to happen.
She looks great.
Yeah.
I saw her lit up the other
Did you
night.
get to see it?
Yeah, she looks good.
You talked about replicas. We have a replica of Vegas Vicky. So Showstoppers, which was the old production show at the Wynn.
Yeah.
I was there about 2 weeks before it closed. The curtain went up on, I think it was the 6th or 7th number in that production. And it was Luck Be a Lady, and it was the Las Vegas set. And here were 6 Las Vegas signs, totally recreated in neon on the stage. Yours truly blurted out, "Oh, I got to have these."
Yeah.
And sure enough, we made that happen. And Wynn was gracious in giving us those signs. So when our new building is finished across from the Neon Museum, our indoor gallery, you will see Vegas Vicky. You will see the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign. You will see the Horseshoe sign. You will see Vegas Vic. What's the other one? No, I can't remember.
There was definitely a Plaza vision up there. It might have been digital though, because I remember seeing
It was
Showstoppers.
digital. We don't have that one.
I remember seeing Showstoppers and thinking, that's the Plaza.
Yeah.
And the whole downtown imagery.
Yeah.
Well, you touched on it. I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about it today, but you touched on the new expansion.
Yes.
Tell us about that. What is that?
Well, first of all, we are strictly an outdoor museum right now. We are also spread out over multiple locations. So I'm currently renting 3 different buildings on the campus of the Las Vegas Review-Journal, which is our morning newspaper. We have a 10,000 square foot warehouse, and then we have office space for all administrative staff. We're actually not at the museum. We need to be back together as a museum. So sitting right across the street from the Neon Museum is what was originally a LDS Mormon stake center built in the early 1960s, almost the same exact time as the La Concha Motel Lobby, which is our visitors center now. And it's very much mid-century modern, some would say Googie architecture.
That's the name of those things, the Googies.
Googie? Oh,
I thought that was the name of those on the sign.
oh, it's Googie. No.
No?
No.
I think it was the style of the sign.
Yeah, it could be
got
the
it.
style of the sign, which are
Okay.
circles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Googie.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
so we've settled that.
Goo Goo Berry?
Anyway, the city took this building over in the late 1960s. It actually at one point was a temporary city hall. And it's got 32,000 square feet, sits on about 3 acres right across the street from us. It has an 8,200 square foot auditorium, which will become an indoor, what we're calling the Great Hall, which will give us an exhibit area, a special event area indoors. Here's the most exciting thing about that property, is we're going to have, and our visitors have been telling us this over and over again, they want to see neon being made and glass being blown. And we will have what I'm calling a glass garage. And our visitors will be able to see neon being worked on and being made and it being lit.
That's
And
fantastic.
we're really excited about it. It'll add a whole different dimension to the museum.
Is neon toxic, or why are people switching to LED versus neon?
It's expensive.
Expensive.
It's not as expensive to create. It's expensive, Jonathan, you know this, to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
The use of neon tubing and bulbs can be outrageous.
Well, we have issues with the elements.
Yes.
With rain and wind, sometimes it just gets taken out.
Yeah. And the other advantage that you have with the LED is that you can change your marketing messages with the snap of a finger.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
But it's not as cool.
It's not as cool.
So, when you get a sign, I often think about this. Do you try to clean it up and repurpose it? Or is it better to say this is as-is condition with the wear and tear and the bulbs out or whatever it may be?
It depends on the sign, and it depends on the history behind the sign. If this sign is significant and has a significant history, we will do everything we can to relight that sign, which is what we just did with the Moulin Rouge. And of course, it played a significant role in ending segregation in Las Vegas and segregation on the Las Vegas Strip. And even though that hotel was only opened for about 6 months, it was the year I was born, it played a major role. It and Frank Sinatra. I mean, Frank Sinatra made no bones about it. He said, if Sammy Davis Jr. cannot walk through the front doors of this hotel like me, I'm not coming back to Las Vegas. And so a sign like that has such an incredible history, we look at those first to be restored. The Moulin Rouge, interestingly enough, still had some working neon in it. So they combined our sign company that we worked with which was Hartlauer Signs, kept the working neon and then replaced other parts of the neon. So it's got this really interesting texture of sort of an orange glow and a pink glow. And they did a fantastic job, and it ran us about $32,000 to restore this because pretty much everything was in order. But some of these signs can be very expensive to restore, and as a nonprofit, we can't just restore every single sign we have.
What's the most expensive sign that you've had to restore?
That was the Hard Rock. That was the guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Which was the first of its kind built anywhere in the world, late 1980s. The original Hard Rock restaurant at the corner of Paradise and Harmon. And
not the hotel and casino.
No,
but
it was the restaurant. Yeah. This sign now has been replicated literally around the world. And it to cut it into pieces, take it to Yesco, repaint it, put in all new electronics. Electronics have changed so much in the last 20 to 30 years. It's unbelievable. That was a $270,000 job to get it to the museum, get it reassembled, and to get it lit. That was the first time we ever did a crowdfunding on our own platform. And we had $270,000 that we raised. We had donors from every state in the United States and donors in 13 foreign countries donate to that cause, which just shows you the global appeal that this museum has.
That is huge. And we know Yesco's not cheap, so if they had to do it.
This is true.
Well, it sounds like between Moulin Rouge and the Hard Rock sign, it'd be tough for you to answer, but do you have a favorite piece in the museum that you're most proud of or that you enjoy the most?
It would probably be the Silver Slipper, which sits right outside our visitors center. You know, cheap entertainment for us on a Saturday night was my parents throwing us in the back seat of the car and going down Fremont Street, looking at all the lights, or driving down the Strip and seeing what new sign had been erected. And for some reason, the Silver Slipper, which used to revolve, was the one that kind of stuck in my mind the most. It was just so unique. That and the Sultan from the Dunes, which unfortunately we lost in a fire. But yeah, I would say that's probably it.
I'm still stuck on the fact that those signs are replicas on Fremont Street. But what was the martini glass from? Do you know?
Well, we have a martini glass in the Boneyard, and it's the Red Barn, which was a bar near Tropicana, near the corner of Tropicana and Maryland Parkway. It was the first gay bar in Las Vegas. And so that is somewhat of a knockoff of the Red Barn sign, which is fully lit in our Boneyard.
Very cool. Didn't know that. So what were you up to during COVID when everything was shut down?
Rosary beads were out. Prayers nightly. We were still working away. I actually went into the office every single day because that's just who I am. Most of our staff was working from home, but we were working on plans. We were still working on the Reed Whipple building. We were still working on, okay, what sign do we restore next? Can we do an update to Brilliant, which we have started on? So there will not only be a Brilliant 2.0, there will be a Brilliant 3.0, 4.0, and 5.0, or as we like to say, Golden, Western, and Atomic. Those are the names of the 3 Brilliant shows. And each one will be different. There will be similarities in them, but they will all be different. And we'll probably launch those sometime next year. Craig Winslow, who was our original artist, who worked with me to do Brilliant, is working on the update, and it should be really cool stuff.
I'm coming to Brilliant this weekend.
Good.
I'm coming for sure. I was at the gala you had last year.
Oh yeah.
All your galas that big?
No.
And that that over the top. That was something else.
All you have to do is get a world famous film director like Tim Burton, and then a world famous band like the Killers, and voila, there you go.
Everyone wants to be there.
Yeah, we had about 500 people in the room for that gala.
When was that? That was last November?
October.
And
Tim was such a great sport. As you know, he's an artist, and he's a bit quirky. He was wonderful to work with.
One of the best speeches I ever heard.
It was so funny, that speech. So I'm standing next to my chairman of the board, and when Tim started to speak, I looked at Mike and I said, what's the over-under on how many 4-letter words he's going to use? We chuckled. He was a great sport that night. He's a shy man by nature. As you know, he went around to tables, said hello to people, and
took pictures with everybody.
Took pictures. He was really just fantastic.
So he was good to work with as a whole experience?
He was, and let me tell you something funny. He left 3 pieces with us. So we have in the Boneyard the grid piece, which is the huge piece where you see elements of the dunes, the seahorses from the pool at the dunes. You see sort of a likeness of Tim. You see 2 aliens. He created that. That stayed with us. It's a huge piece. And then he created the signature piece, which we called the exhibit Lost Vegas. And he took, because we lost the Dunes sign. Steve Wynn wanted to implode the Dunes sign with the Dunes because it was part of a national television special. So we lost the Dunes sign. This sign is in the shape of the dunes, but with stardust stars going up through the center of it. So in one fell swoop, he basically had an homage to probably the 2 greatest freestanding signs in the history of Las Vegas. The day it was delivered by Hartlauer. Now, Hartlauer did everything. They made the sign look like it was aged, like it had been out in the desert for a half a century. We're all standing there. Jesse Hartlauer, God bless his soul, so proud of this sign. Tim said, something's wrong. All of our hearts sunk. Jesse said, what do you mean something's wrong? He goes, look at the light bulbs. They're brand new. Oh, only a film director would pick this up.
Yeah.
Get me a bucket of Crisco oil and sand, and we're going to cover each bulb in desert sand. And you just sit there amazed, okay, wow. This guy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how he was to work with. Very kinetic, but
detailed.
Brilliant guy.
Yeah, I mean, I heard him, I think maybe you said at the gala, but he basically worked literally right up until the event and then went back there that night to work more. I mean, the guy worked around the clock. He did. And, and then we had a wonderful VIP opening, a private VIP opening where some of his Hollywood pals came. Johnny Depp, who finally made it at midnight, Danny DeVito and his son, several other people. Jeez,
it was a fun
Thank
evening.
you for the invite, Rob. That's really appreciated.
I'm afraid that invitation list was strictly Tim's.
Okay. That makes sense. But the gala was great, and I was amazed how many people dressed up for it. I mean, everyone was dressed up like him.
It was like Halloween.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was perfect timing because it basically was Halloween.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I was looking forward to this year's, but unfortunately,
yeah, COVID got us. I don't think that will be the last collaboration with Tim. I think we will see something down the road with him again. Perhaps there was a lot of stuff he couldn't exhibit. Now, most of these pieces in the exhibit he created just for us, but he's done a lot of other. He's done a lot of wall art, and it would be great to do an indoor exhibition once we're in the new building.
Do you have any plans for collaborations with anybody else?
Oh, yeah, we do. So we've been talking with some folks who were associated with the art museum that now has been put on hold. And there are a number of very well-known artists that would love to exhibit at the Neon Museum. It's really fascinating to see this evolution. I tell people, our social media, so we've got 1.1 million on Facebook. I can't remember the Twitter number. The Facebook number alone is twice that of the Getty Center and LACMA in Los Angeles.
oh wow.
So our following is really unbelievable, and artists have taken note of this. And you would be surprised how many artists around the globe have worked with neon. Now, they work with lots of different art, but they've incorporated neon.
Oh, yeah.
They've incorporated neon in their projects. So, yeah, I think you're going to see some really cool stuff here in the next few years.
Have you heard of Tracy Emin,
Yes.
the UK artist?
Yes,
She
absolutely.
does a lot with neon.
Yeah.
My mother would be very proud of me mentioning that I know such
And
an
then-
artist.
and then-
Shout out. Hey,
And the-
Mom.
And the name of the gallery in London, God's Own Junkyard.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
They do a good job.
Yeah, they really
But they
do.
sell everything, and you
They
guys
do.
don't. That's
We don't sell anything and we don't buy anything.
right. But speaking about you were talking about the collaborations, and then you mentioned that how well known this is. Do you get most of the visitors from out of town, from the Strip, coming down there? Is that where most of the visitors are coming from right now?
Yeah, so 90% of our visitors historically have come from the Strip. They're staying on the Strip, and they're coming downtown to see Fremont Street, the Fremont Street Experience, the Mob Museum, and the Neon Museum.
Yeah.
And it's really fascinating. It really is. And, I think it's good for the Union Plaza.
90%. Oh, I love that you called it the Union
I'm
Plaza.
sorry.
Yeah, you are born and raised here.
Born
He's the
and
only
raised
one who
here.
can get away with it,
Yeah,
right?
hey, listen, I
It's-
respect that. When you're born and raised in Vegas, you call us the Union Plaza.
We called it the UP. You know, I know I'm sitting right where the swimming pool was at, too.
You are, yeah. I had to correct the mayor once. She gave us an award, and I said, we haven't been called the Union Plaza in 30 years, but thank you.
Okay, I apologize.
No.
Can we move on,
all.
please?
But you said so 90% of the visitors are coming from the
Actually,
Strip.
I got that confused. 90% of our visitors are tourists. 74% are staying on the Strip.
Got it. So only 10% of your visitors are locals.
Yeah.
So not a great number, which would speak to, unfortunately, a lack of appreciation and culture that we might maybe have here.
Yeah, it is, but I've always said about Las Vegas, people come here, move here to make money.
Yeah.
And people are, as you know, very industrious, very hardworking people. You employ a number of them right here at this property. And they're busy. They're busy providing for their families, and they're busy making this the wonderful city that it is. So, and I think also, I've often said, look, it's kind of like Disneyland in Anaheim. You're in the San Diego freeway and you drive by Santa Ana freeway and you drive by Disneyland. It's always there. You can always go, but you never do. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. No, I agree, but I'm disappointed that not more, forget the locals for a second, that not more of your visitors are coming from the hotels down here. And I will take a bet now on the record that in the next 5 years, whatever the percentage is coming from downtown, because 74 the Strip, I don't know what percent of downtown. I'll take a bet that it doubles in the next 5 years, because I think as the clientele continues to improve downtown, as the properties continue to reinvent themselves and you get more events and conventions, that customer will appreciate the Neon Museum, and there'll be more crossover between the downtown clientele and the museum.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. There's a lot of buzz about downtown. and I think people are pretty excited about it.
Speaking of visitors, has there been a shift of any younger people more coming to the museum, or in today's digital age where everybody's on their phones, is there still an appreciation for neon with some of the younger visitors to Las Vegas?
Absolutely. It's not the majority of our visitors, but there is absolutely an appreciation for the creativity of neon. And that's what really excites the younger crowd, and sort of that cool Vegas vibe. That's what they're after. And so, yeah, we provide that. Yeah, absolutely.
Good, because I've seen a lot of, on my last visit there, I would say probably half of our tour was probably under 35. So, and everybody was trying to take their selfies.
Oh, they don't want the pictures. It's the pictures, right?
Well, it's a photographer's dream. I mean, it's like a Hollywood back lot.
And all the engagement photos?
Yeah.
Or wedding photos?
Wedding photos. We do weddings. We do, I don't know how many, 200 or 300 weddings a year in the Boneyard. They're quick weddings, so they don't take a lot of time. Of course, most weddings in Las Vegas are quick weddings. Mm-hmm. And then we have quick divorces, too, but that's another story altogether.
You oversee those. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the evolution, Rob, and to seeing the new expansion that I'm loosely a part of, and hoping to see it come together, and definitely appreciate everything you've done for downtown and for the community, because being people that moved here 13 years ago but having a family here now, it is important that we have these places, like you said, so you don't have to take your kids out of state to get culture and to appreciate things. And I'm looking forward to bringing my kids to the museum one day.
And I would throw that right back at you, because what you and your team have done at the plaza over the last few years, the modernization, all the bells and whistles, it's just making downtown Las Vegas even better. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. It's just the beginning. We got a long way to go.
Great.
We're excited for it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your time.
Come visit.
We will. Thank you so much for joining us today on the corner of Main Street. You can learn more about the Neon Museum at neonmuseum.org or on Instagram at the Neon Museum Las Vegas. We'll be back again soon, but in the meantime, follow us on social. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at Plaza Pod. And on Facebook, you can find us at Plaza Podcast. Or go right to the top and tweet Jonathan at Jonathan Jossel. We'll see you next time from right here on the corner of Main Street.